finals have begun, but we got some big news about both of our teams, and we'll start it off with two guys getting paid, and those two guys are on the San Francisco 49ers as Brock Purdy, the quarterback, Fred Warner, the linebacker, each got contract extensions from the 49ers as Fred Warner, who's a four-time All-Pro, he agreed to a 3-year, $63 million contract extension that included $56 million in guaranteed money that made him the NFL's highest paid linebacker. It marks the second time in his 7-year NFL career that Warner has landed a contract that makes him the league's highest paid linebacker, as noted by ESPN's Adam Schefter. Brock Purdy and the 49ers agreed to a 5-year, $265 million contract extension, including $181 million in total guarantees. A lot of people are saying that Brock Purdy robbed the 49ers, but then you look at it, he's getting paid $53 million a year, which is not the highest paid quarterback or player in the league. So Brock got paid, but compared to where the market is at, he didn't reset the market, which is what a lot of people were asking is when the 49ers have to pay Brock Purdy, they're not going to give him a little contract. So is he just going to reset the market? Because that's what we seem to see with these quarterbacks all the time is that every single time a quarterback of his status gets paid, they reset the market. The 49ers were able to negotiate their way with Brock Purdy and his agent to not completely do that, but Brock certainly got paid. And I'll add that Brock Purdy has a no trade clause in his contract. And so that is worth noting. Jaevon, Toddy, I'll start things off with you as my fellow 49ers fan on this panel. Just what are your thoughts on the 49ers locking up two cornerstone pieces in Fred Warner and Brock Purdy?
Well, I'm just glad that both guys got locked up before training camp. Usually, Kevin is a guy that I talk to.
Let's wrap that up. That's a once in a lifetime.
Consistently. Last year was the Brandon Ayuk contract. Kevin was like, he's gone. When's it going to happen? I said, Kev, relax. All of our deals get done in training camp. But for both deals, and George Kittle as well, basically all three of those guys locked up. It's like the core, heart and soul of the team, I would say so, and Trent Williams as well. For all those guys to kind of get locked up and get paid and just go into the offseason, into training camp, head down, it's a dream come true. We don't have any drama to worry about. We're always in the blogs. Like, what about this guy's going to get paid? Is this guy going to get paid? Kevin's like, hey, well, Brock's he's going to want 70. And he's like, you're going to be a Tennessee Titan or you're going to be a New York Giant. Obviously, this was before the draft. So it's good to see that we got our guy locked up. Brock Purdy, who's top 10 quarterback. Kevin's going to probably come and say some other things, but I do believe Brock is a top 10 quarterback when healthy and everything's up to par. Last year, we did not have the year we desired. Obviously going 6-11 and getting the 11th spot in the draft. For us to kind of come now and to say, hey, let's regroup in the offseason. Let's get everybody back right. Oh, I forgot to mention Bosa is definitely a part of that core as well. Also, just want to get everybody on track. Fred Warner, number one, the best linebacker in the NFL. I don't think that's without saying. Played on a broken ankle last year and still was able to get first team All-Pro, Pro Bowl, anything, you name it. I think his name's probably going to be mentioned in the Hall of Fame once he retires. Absolutely in the Ring of Honor for a 49er. But as a player himself, he's definitely going to the Hall of Fame. But I do think this is going to be the year where we just put our heads down. We got to get back to where we once were, back at the top of the NFC. We're just a year removed from that, like I said, 6-11 season. But a year before that, we were in the Super Bowl, up on Patrick Mahomes in overtime. Didn't go the way that we planned. And windows close, life comes at you fast in the NFL. Kev could tell you that. We know from personal experience from going to the Super Bowl to missing the playoffs. So now it's just we're worried about reloading. It's a word that I've said to Kevin. We're not rebuilding. We're reloading. You can't be rebuilding when you're paying your quarterback $50+ million. And I do think that now coach, quarterback, when you look at the coach quarterback combo of a lot of these guys in the league, you look at Josh Allen with his coach in Buffalo, definitely blanking on his name currently right now. You have
McDermott.
Andy. What happened, Sean?
You said Josh Allen's coach in Buffalo, Sean McDermott?
Yeah, McDermott. Sorry. Sean McDermott, Josh Allen. You got Andy and Patrick Mahomes. You got Burrow, Zach Taylor. You got obviously Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. The list kind of just goes on and on with, coach, quarterback, Lamar and Harbaugh. Like, just you want to have that coach, quarterback tandem. And when those guys are on the same page, usually you're a successful team. And I'm just happy that all this got done before this summer or before training camp started. And we're kind of just ready to just put our head down and like to see a lot of the young guys in training camp kind of blossom, because we already know the guys that we have currently. I want to see what we're going to see from the guys from that we drafted currently in the draft, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and Jaevon makes a great point about the guys that the 49ers are drafting, because one other thing to add about these two signings is that obviously Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL draft. Fred Warner was a third-round pick. George Kittle, who also recently got a contract extension from the 49ers, fifth-round pick. So it's not all about the first-round picks when it comes to the 49ers, because they tend to find a lot of success later in the draft. And I want to shout out everyone who's tuning in right now on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. And I want to get to a couple of those comments on YouTube and Instagram. So when it comes to the 49ers, we hear from @BigMun73, a.k.a. Toddy's dad, who says, we going undefeated and win the Super Bowl at Levi's next year. Niners locked up their character guys, and they're some of the best in the league at their positions. Then in all caps, he says, for the audio-only listeners, we got cheated by the league in the Super Bowl. And then when Jaevon was talking about Josh Allen, Big Mun said, Allen got to worry about Michael B. Jordan stealing his girl. That'd be actress Haley Steinfeld. And then before we get Kevin's thoughts on these 49ers signings, I also wanted to shout out Uncle Manny, who's always tuning in on YouTube. We appreciate you, as he says, I thought Purdy got a reasonable deal. So, Kevin, now I toss things to you. What are your thoughts on the 49ers paying Brock Purdy and Fred Warner?
So we all have played sports one time in our life, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced daddy ball, or nephew ball, cousin ball, whatever you want to do. No matter what they go out there and do, we're going to take care of you because you're loyal to us and we're loyal to you. Shaun, Toddy mentioned Fred Warner being the best linebacker last season. This is called stats over politics, Shaun, or Toddy, not politics over stats. You can look at the numbers. He was by far not the best linebacker. But you know what? Papa John's going to pay him like it because he's been here. He's loyal. He's a fifth-round, third-round guy. This is our guy. We got him out the mud. We're going to pay him all this money. So let's just look at these stats. 131 tackles, career low. 53 stops, career low. 5 tackles for loss, career low. 2 interceptions, tied with his career low. 4 forced fumbles, and a 97.5 passer rating allowed. That's pretty high for the best linebacker in football. Let's go over the best linebacker in football. I won't even mention his name. I'll just give you his stats.
Before you give those stats, Kevin, just want to let you know, broken ankle.
Toddy,
that he played on.
Cannot play on a broken ankle. You physically cannot play on a broken ankle. So you say,
but he did. He did.
But he did. He literally did.
Brother, you cannot play on a broken ankle.
Okay, but Kevin, but
ankle was hurt. Okay, broken is you can't play on a broken ankle.
Okay, so
fractured ankle.
Let's get into that then, because I think there's some middle ground, and I can play the devil's advocate, fill the Gary chair here for a moment, because I feel like this is being lost in translation a little bit, because both of things that you guys are saying are true. But so when it comes to what Toddy's saying is, Kevin, there were broken bones in his ankle. The ankle is like a hand or like a foot, where there are like hundreds of bones in there. So the whole ankle was not broken, but there were broken bones in the ankle. And so to that point, it's not the whole entire ankle, but what Toddy's saying is factually right. He played on a broken ankle, broken bones in his ankle, but then what Kevin is saying is correct as well.
And a broken ankle? If he has a broken ankle, he cannot move lateral. He can't move up and back. He can't move on a broken ankle. Is all I'm getting at.
But that's
Kevin is about to give you the stats of his line. linebacker.
Okay, so Kevin, go.
you, Kevin.
I think you both were right with that point. Is that Toddy's factually right that there were broken bones in the ankle, but Kevin, you're right that the whole ankle wasn't broken. So like, let's be specific here. So let's hear the stats.
His ankle was not broken, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys knew that. Toddy wanted to throw out the broken ankle. I'm happy Shaun came in here and played devil's advocate and let them know that he had some fractures in his ankle. But you know, Toddy, we had a bad season. He played on a broken ankle, Kevin. Come on.
I mean, hey, at least he played through it because everybody else was out.
But all right, so let's go about the best linebacker stats. So I mentioned Fred Warner, 131 tackles to Zach Bond's 184, 53 stops to 79, 5 tackles for loss to 13, 3 interceptions to 5, 6 forced fumbles to 4, and a 75 passer rating to 97.5.
Why ain't y'all giving dubs?
This is the example
of
the Niners thinking with their heart. Fred Warner is a heart guy. They pulled up the string cord. You know what? You're not the best linebacker in football, but we're going to pay you like that because that's what we do here. You're our guy. We're going to take care of you. So
they didn't do that with Purdy, though.
Let's give you 20-something million a year, but the best linebacker in football statistically gets 17 because the Eagles, yes, you're the best linebacker in football, but we want to win games. We're not here to look pretty and sign guys to make them say they're the highest paid in football. So let's get to Brock Purdy. I said you guys overpaid Kittle. You overpaid Fred Warner. You overpaid Brandon Ayuk. So why not overpay Brock Purdy? There was a rumor before we get into this. Adam Schefter came out and said that Brock Purdy wanted 65 a year, and they said no. And they went from 65 to 53, and there was not one team to come in and say, maybe Brock Purdy could be good for us. Adam Schefter, word for word, said a GM told him he's a good quarterback for them. And what does that mean, you guys? When everything's perfect and pretty, he's good. But when it's not, it's really not. So let's just compare the first 2 years out of his starting career. The first year doesn't really count because he came in late. So the first 2023 Brock, Super Team Brock, 12-5 Brock, NFC Championship Brock. 31 touchdowns, 11 picks, 10 yards per attempt, 4,280 yards. You take away all those shiny toys, Brock Purdy, 6-11, 3,864 yards, 8 yards per attempt, 20 touchdowns to 12 picks. So you're telling me he makes more money than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Matthew Stafford. You guys are Niner fans. We will all agree that he's not better than a single one of those quarterbacks I named, correct?
No.
All right. So
it's all about the market, Kevin. Dak Prescott literally makes $60 million. Is he better than Patrick Mahomes?
Hey,
is he better than
another overpaid quarterback? We talk about a lot of overpaid quarterbacks.
Just because some guys are underpaid,
do it the right way, and some franchises do it the wrong way. Those guys I listed win their team's games. Brock Purdy couldn't do shit when he didn't have all those fancy toys. When Brock Purdy is not paid to win you guys games. Brock Purdy is there to coach out orders, not lead a team. There's a quarterback that wins you games because of, and you just win games because he just happens to be under center. We've mentioned it. Jimmy Garoppolo looked really good. What did he do after that? Brock Purdy looks really good with all these shiny toys, but when there's no shiny toys, you got a top 11 pick. So did Brock Purdy deserve this money? No. I get it. Shaun's going to say it's the market. You have to look at the guys who's getting paid more than. The guys that I mentioned do less with more. Jalen Hurts took Quez Watkins to the playoffs. You guys probably don't even know who Quez Watkins is. Justin Herbert took Quentin Johnson to the playoffs. A lot of people do less with more. Baker, Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. His receivers didn't even show up with shoes to the field. People do less with more, but Brock Purdy does less or more he does less with more, and when he takes away the more, he does less. He's not a quarterback that's going to help you win games. And the fact that you gave him a no trade clause just goes to show that Papa John is doing something over there that is daddy ball. You know, you're our guy. We're going to bring you on. If he was that good, he would have gotten offers from somebody else. Not one team called. If any of these other quarterbacks that I mentioned under him are up for a payday, people are calling for Patrick. People are calling for Lamar, Justin, Matthew Stafford. We saw it this offseason. People wanted Matthew Stafford. Nobody wanted Brock Purdy because he's only good when things are right. So, congratulations. You guys just keep putting yourself behind the 8 ball. I call you guys the West Coast Bengals. You guys are only paying a certain amount of guys, and everybody else you're just hoping and praying.
That's literally what everybody does. They pay their guys.
That's not what everybody does. Just because you guys,
best players on the
does it.
Team. That's literally what we're doing.
We let go of our best guys. We do it every offseason. Our best guys walk.
Because you can't pay everybody.
But you guys
choose
pay
the best guys. You pay Jalen,
you can't pay everybody. We just choose not to. You can't.
There will be guys coming up for contracts. And you'll be looking at.
The last thing I'm going to say on this is Brock Purdy is not a top 10 quarterback, but he's paid like it. And everything showed you last year. You give all these other guys less, and they go to the playoffs. Everyone was to say, even last year's version of you guys injured, better than the Vikings, better than the Commanders, better than the Bucks. And all of those guys with less went to the playoffs, and you guys couldn't do that. That's all I'm saying. So $53 million for 6-11. Wow, that's highway robbery.
What about all the years before that, though? Not just the 6-11 years.
Yeah, no, when everything's right, and he doesn't have to do
championship, Super
throw
Bowl,
a bubble, do a little jet sweep to Debo.
Then everybody gets hurt, and now it's he got $53 million to go 6-11. What about all the other stuff that happened?
When everything was going right, I get that. That's perfect. But the quarterbacks I mentioned
did less. Everything was going right. You have a good team.
I mean, let me ask you this, Toddy.
You guys had a great team.
This has nothing to do with the Eagles. Last season, the way injuries and all, were you guys better than the Vikings? Would you say?
Were we better than the Vikings last year?
Yeah, injuries and all.
I think so.
I mean,
okay,
no,
that's
not with half the team injured. No.
Okay, so Shaun says no. So next team, the Buccaneers. Would you say you were better than the Bucs last year? Injuries and all.
The Bucs last year.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say who are we going to replace in the NFC?
No, hold on. The Commanders. Would you say you're better than the Commanders? All in all, injuries and all.
No.
So these teams went to the playoffs with a sub-tier roster, and your $53 million quarterback couldn't win 7 games. I'm just saying.
Rough year last year.
It's easy to say when everything's peachy, you're winning games. Like I said, you guys don't even know who Quez Watkins is, and Jalen Hurts took him to the playoffs. Some guys win games. Some guys win games because of what's around them.
Right on,
well, so what I have to say about this is that Brock Purdy and Fred Warner both deserve to be paid. Fred Warner deserved to be paid as the best linebacker in the NFL for a second time because he did it once, and then he continued to prove why he was worth.
But last year, he didn't deserve it.
Okay, but this is what we've talked about in the past, though. And again, whether if the whole ankle was broken or bones in the ankle were broken, the guy played through an injury. He could have just sat out. It was already a lost season. He should have sat out, but he didn't because he's a leader, and he knows that that team needed him to lead in that manner, even in a 6-11 season. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL. He has done it year after year after year. Kevin, you wanted to mention a one-season sample size when it comes to Zach Bond. He's a one-hit wonder for all I'm concerned. Like, congratulations. He deserved 3 years, $51 million, what the Eagles paid him. Congratulations. You had a career year. You deserve to get paid that. But as far as I'm concerned, he's a one-hit wonder versus Fred Warner has done it year after year. And when it comes to Brock Purdy, he has been great for 3 seasons because, okay, yeah, he has one bad season because everyone around him is hurt. The team goes 6-11. But when you look at Brock Purdy's cumulative of what he's contributed over these 3 seasons, 9,518 passing yards, 64 passing touchdowns, 4 playoff wins in 3 years. He made it to the NFC Championship, or he won an NFC Championship, and he made it to the Pro Bowl. Brock Purdy earned that money, and he's not being paid as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So there's that caveat. And before I pass the mic back to whoever wants it, I have to mention this too, because, okay, context matters. Zach Bond has been in the NFL for two less seasons than Fred Warner. Warner came in 2018. Bond came in 2020. Here's my point. Fred Warner's played in 115 games. Bond's played in 78. That stat doesn't really matter as much because Fred Warner has 2 seasons on him. That's 32 games, or even with the new schedule, that's 34 games. So that part doesn't matter. But here's where it matters, because even though Fred Warner has 2 extra seasons on Bond, the stats speak for themselves. This is stats over politics. You were saying earlier, Kevin, that this isn't politics over stats. So throughout their careers, Fred Warner has 569 tackles. Bond, 153. Assisted tackles, Fred Warner, 328. Bond, 86. So when we come to total tackles, Fred Warner has 897. Bond has 293. Oh, two years on him, but he has 600 more tackles than him. You look at sacks. Warner has 10. Bond has 5.5. Interceptions. Warner has 10. Bond has 2. Yeah, Bond may have had a better season while Fred was playing through an injury, but as far as I'm concerned, he was a one-hit wonder. So to bring up his stats in comparison to Fred Warner, to me, is a joke. And that's with all due respect to Bond, because he was a one-hit wonder compared to Fred Warner.
I can mention another linebacker if you like.
Please. I know you were. I saw you typing away. I was waiting to hear the
You guys are making this an Eagles-Niners debate, and that's
you're trying to make this an Eagles-Niners debate.
I can give you multiple linebackers that had a better year, but all you're going to do is throw at me that he had a bad ankle. So me giving you 2 other examples, all you're going to say to me is, Kevin, he had a fractured ankle. He had to lead us out there, Kevin. He led us to an 11th pick in the draft. He's such a good leader. That's what the Niners' problem is. It's fucking daddy ball. Kittle did not deserve to be the highest paid tight end, but because he had one good season when everything else around him is subpar, he gets paid like that. Kittle does not have 1,000 yards if CMC's playing. If Ayuk is playing, he doesn't. But because they're hurting, he has a good year. What do? You guys are infamous for paying for one good season. I'm going to bring him up every time we talk about this. The Y-back, 1,400 yards. Man, let's give him all this money. Ain't come close to 1,000 yards. Kevin, he runs the ball too. I'm just saying, there's excuses after excuses for why you guys pay these guys. That's all I'm saying.
What's going to happen is all these guys are going to ball out next season, and Kevin's going to come on here. And I've already talked about, even this is going back to previous podcasts. The schedule that we have is very favorable. I predicted that we're probably going to go anywhere from 12-5 to like 13-4 next year, based on our very favorable schedule. Kevin's going to come on here and say the exact same thing about all the guys that were balling out. He's going to say, oh, you guys played the Jags. You guys played the Titans. You guys played all these other guys. Like, we're never going to be able to win this conversation until we actually get to the playoffs and start beating teams. So it's nothing ever satisfies Kevin. Kevin's going to always come on here and say this and that when all of our guys are getting paid because they're playing like one of the top players in the league. And now that we have a favorable schedule going into next year, we're going to win a bunch of these games. Kevin's going to come back on and say, look, we're playing the Chiefs and we're playing the Rams. You guys are playing the Jags and the Titans and all this other stuff. So I just want you guys to know right now, this is what it's going to be going into next season. And we're not going to win this. It's going to be back. We're talking to a wall right now when it comes to Kevin Dent, the guy to my right, screaming at clouds right now. That's literally what it is. Going into next year, when we win a bunch of games, Kevin's going to come back on here. He's going to do this. It's a cycle thing with Kevin. We're currently right here now. Niners pay a guy. He's going to overreact. We're going to go and we're going to win all these games. Who have you played? You're playing a bunch of shit quarterbacks. You're playing this guy. You're playing that guy. And then when we get to the playoffs and when we start beating teams, Kevin's like, Purdy's got this. He's got that. That's just what's going to happen. We can't satisfy Kevin. He's paid. He wasn't one of the highest. He was paid under 2. Jordan Love still makes more than him. He's done way more than him. Trevor Lawrence is making $55 million a year APY. What the fuck is Trevor Lawrence done? So
those quarterbacks are paid to win games.
We got him right now at the $53 million mark. The salary cap is only going to go up. So the next guy that's going to get paid is going to get like what Dak got, which was insane. And we all can agree that the Deshaun Watson contract was just out of this world. That was just an outlier thing. I don't think anyone else is going to get a fully. I think didn't Lamar get a fully guaranteed? I don't think it was fully guaranteed, but I don't think we'll see a Deshaun Watson like contract ever again. But I'm saying currently, as the market stands, Purdy did not reset the market. He got in where he fits. I think he's like 7th currently right now. And you mentioned Lamar. You mentioned Lamar's. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes. You mentioned Josh Allen. You mentioned Joe Burrow. I'm not coming on here saying he's better than any of those guys. I don't think Shaun is either. I'm saying where he currently is slotted, currently right now, it's just right.
So let me ask you.
I'm not saying he asked for 65, Kevin. We got 53.
Let me ask you.
That's called negotiation.
Right where he needs to be. Yeah,
all I want to yes or no. I don't want to stay on this topic too long. Were you guys happy with what Brock Purdy put on the field last year?
Yes, because he
stop it.
He did what he could last year.
I don't want you to tell me he did this because of injuries. Yes or no? As a Niners fan, were you proud of his performance last year?
Yeah.
Toddy?
Oh, he did good.
Yeah, so just to elaborate.
Yes, Kevin, yes.
That's all I'm asking.
Team needs to be better, though.
And I want to elaborate, too, because, last season specifically, when everyone around him was getting hurt, and Brock dealt with an elbow injury himself last year. And didn't he miss one game, and then he came back?
He missed
two games. Okay,
yeah.
So he even was injured himself last year. But for what he showed on the field, I was a fan of it personally because he proved kind of that the narrative that was around him was wrong. Because everyone was saying, oh, Brock Purdy, Kevin, you're one of these people. You're one of many, but you're one of these people where people would say, oh, Brock Purdy can only play when the talent is perfect around him. And he proved that wasn't the case because even though it did not always result in wins.
12 games to 6 games. He proved that he did what?
And my point is just that he proved.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to cut you off, Shaun.
It's all right.
This year, the talent is not what it's been previous years.
So you're already putting in excuses for him to have another bad year.
No, he's not going to have.
He won't have.
I literally just said we're going to go 12-4.
No matter what's around him. You would tell me Greg Jennings is better than Quentin Johnson, would you not?
Jaevon Jennings.
I'm just saying that you guys had better options than a lot of these other guys, even with Hurt. And these guys, we don't give these guys passes. We don't give Justin Herbert passes. But you know what? Justin Herbert gets to the dance. You can't say nothing when you have a top 11 pick. You can't say he had a good season. You had a top 11 pick. Any other team besides your home team,
the whole entire team was in.
They played bad. No one's saying Trevor Lawrence played good, right? Because they had a top 2 pick. That's all I'm saying. You can't.
What has Trevor Lawrence done?
You can't sit here and praise Brock Purdy off of a 6-11 season. Shaun mentioned his stats, but 2 out of those 3 seasons, he had the best of the best. When he has the worst of the worst, he's shit. Literal shit. 6-11, a top 11 pick. You paid a guy $53 million off of a 6-win season. Justin Fields could have won more than 6 games. Justin Fields don't got a 6-win season.
Why'd you have to mention
my
guy?
Justin?
You know I'm not going to talk against him.
Multiple quarterbacks with worse off than the Niners, even with them being hurt, and they still did more than Brock Purdy.
Well, as Demetrius Jones says on YouTube, Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the greatest thing to be in the NFL. He ain't even did nothing for real. And so, Trevor Lawrence isn't really the guy to compare to Brock Purdy because in reality,
he went to the playoffs with Gabe Davis.
But here's the point about Trevor Lawrence. If you're really trying to,
that's fucking funny because he had. You guys scream white boy Ricky from the top of the lungs. Toddy said Jennings was a number 1 option. You got all this going for you, and you couldn't do shit with it.
Well, the point that I wanted to
when everything around him is pitch perfect, but when it rains a little bit, can Brock Purdy stand the rain? 6 wins? I don't think so.
The point that I wanted to make about Trevor Lawrence is at least in the debate of Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy, if you look at their NFL careers, just not even Kevin, I know that the point that you're trying to make is you're trying to compare Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy head to head. But if I just look at Brock Purdy, the individual NFL player, Trevor Lawrence, the individual NFL player, Trevor Lawrence is a massive letdown versus Brock Purdy has just come out of nowhere. He's come out of left field from Mr. Irrelevant to a top 7 paid quarterback in the NFL.
So why don't we give
Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence was mentioned with names like Andrew Luck, John Elway, every generational quarterback. And there was a fly that just wanted to smack me in the face, but every generational quarterback that you could think about, Trevor Lawrence had his name mentioned with them, and he has not met those expectations. And
okay, but why don't we give him the same kind of excuses you gave Brock Purdy? He ain't got no one to throw the ball to, but Trevor Lawrence sucks.
Kevin, I think what has to happen is
Brock Purdy has one season of no weapons, and he looks average. Trevor Lawrence has had his whole career with no weapons. That's all I'm saying. You guys want to make
we have to see is
Purdy, but you don't want to
after
make
the contract that he's given, a lot more pressure is going to be on Brock. We just got to wait and see now.
Hey,
exactly.
Man, so it's going to be nice when CMC's back, and he has a top 3 running back in the backfield. He got Ayuk. He got all these pretty shiny toys. But when all that goes away, and I'm going to sit here and scream this from the rooftop, Jalen Hurts took Quez Watkins to the playoffs.
Well,
who else were your receivers?
Devontae Smith. There was no Saquon. There was no AJ. I'm just saying, you pay quarterbacks to win games. You guys paid Purdy to be the lead constructor at the orchestra. That's all he does. He's not going to win you no games. He's going to lose you a couple. We saw multiple interception games that he lost. It's easy to look at his career stats and bring that to the table. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and he gave you a top 11 pick.
Kevin, I'm going to need you to do me a favor since you're our social media guru. Is clip what you just said, post it onto social media this week, because then when Brock Purdy does end up doing well and does win the 49ers some games, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is such an elite talent that he'll take you to a Super Bowl championship by himself, but can he win you some regular season games on his own? He definitely can. And so,
oh yeah, you're right, Shaun. He won 6.
clip what you just said. Clip
6
all
games.
of this.
Congratulations, 6 games. That's what he won you. How many 6-win seasons do you have under Jimmy?
Think they had 1, and it was 2020.
And we think Jimmy is shit.
In hindsight, Jimmy had
Jimmy was only good with the Niners because that's all the weapons around him. The GM said it best. He's only good for them. A GM said that, not Kevin Dent. A general manager said to Adam Schefter. So if they think it, but when I say it, it's crazy.
One GM? One GM.
I'm a dude with no experience. I'm a fan. That dude gets paid to make decisions, and he said, I'm good.
Well, Demetrius Jones makes a great point on YouTube when he says, I'm a Packers fan, and I think Purdy is going to be great.
I think Kevin's just screaming.
Everyone's going to be healthy. There's no problems. You know what?
Who is everyone?
Congratulations. You don't got Jennings out there as your wide receiver 1. You got CMC. There's no more Isaac Garendo. There's no more anybody in the back. Congratulations. It's nice when it's sunny outside and you can wear shorts, but you don't wear shorts outside when it's raining because you can't handle the rain. It's easy to be good.
It's not sunny outside. We went 6-11.
Exactly, because everything around him was shit. So what was he? Shit. You surround shit with shit, it just looks like shit and it smells like shit.
Please click.
Well, Kevin said